Hey guys, Steve from the Tech Buzz Gaming, and today we are doing a special video. I've got my brother, he's in town here. We're on vacation this week.
Yep.
So decided to do a video because you guys know I'm trying to collect for the complete North American collection of the NES. And of course, that was the first system you and I played. We grew up playing a bunch of games, and you guys know some of the games that I had said that I really liked growing up, but I wanted to get his take. I wanted him to tell you guys some of the games that were his favorites growing up, because we played a lot, but then there was a lot that we really didn't play.
Correct.
Like we didn't get to see. Like he was looking through my my list behind here, and he was just kind of like, I don't know those games. So let's take a look at what's your first pick that we played. Well, you played. What was one of your favorites?
So one of my favorites that I particularly liked was Super C. They also had Contra out too, but I personally had this one. Super C was one of the games that I used to try to play. After I got really good at the game, I would try to do it without doing the extra life. You used to be able to get 10 lives if you did the password, or passcode I should say. And but then I started playing it where I could just try doing it if I do it without dying, and getting to the end. So that was one of the games I personally liked. That was one of my favorite ones.
In fact, that is your box. Like he got he brought his box out and he gave it to me so I could have it completed box because I had the game. So he ended up bringing that out. So that was really cool to have that. So some of these boxes that you're going to see complete in box, that one and another one here was actually his box.
And another game that I also liked, it was kind of like the Zelda game, but this one was Chrysalis, or some people say Crystalis. This was one of those games that, like Zelda, you go around and you have to build your character up, find different items throughout the course of the game. This particular game, I remember used to playing it. It was a cheat code also that you held down, and you could skip through the levels warping.
That's right, there was.
But when you did it, certain things wouldn't open up right when you did it that way, but you could still beat the game. When you got to the end of the levels, you could actually, I can't remember there was a certain, at the very end of the game, you could stand on these steps, and you could actually build up your life and get to each part. You had to have some kind of necklace. I don't remember what necklace it was called, but
That's right.
but that actually worked pretty good, and it was real easy to beat the game once you learn the different tricks and stuff on how to move forward. But
And that was like a top-down one, like kind of like Zelda was.
Correct.
When you went through. Yeah.
So that was one that I particularly liked playing. And then of course you have The Legend of Zelda. The second one wasn't Link to the Past, but this one was one of my favorites. Once again, I know I did challenges for myself to go through and beat the game as Green Zelda, or Green Link, I should say. And this way you can go through.
You did it with the sword, the wooden sword too, right?
You could go through with the first sword, Master Sword, and the blue sword. White sword, I think it is. I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, there was a white sword, and then there was the Master Sword was the one, but the wooden one was the first one you get.
Correct.
When you said it's dangerous to go along and take this.
So that was like one of the challenging things, if you can go through and
Then
beat
you had
it.
the green ring, which is what you start out with.
Correct.
The green, and then you had the blue ring,
And then you
which
had the red one.
and then you had the red one. At
Yeah.
the very
So those were different challenges that I did that I remember playing it, because it was one of those games that, once again, you tried to find every item in the game, making sure you had all the heart containers. So it was a really fun game that I like playing. And like I said, when you're playing through it, having the different challenges mindset of playing, okay, I want this way, or I'm going to try to go. Now I know people do this in speed runs now, I've seen online, so it's pretty cool. Another game that I also liked playing growing up was Tecmo Bowl, or Tecmo Super Bowl. This was both of them I liked playing, but this was one that I used to play. I remember growing up trying to set records and getting at the end of the game, you could get to the Super Bowl. And like I was the 49ers, but I also liked the Dolphins. That was my team. But playing this, I was the 49ers, playing Joe Montana, throwing the big Hail Marys, going down the field and trying to get all the different goals of most receiving, most passing. So that was pretty cool that I liked playing.
Because that was the year the Cowboys were really good, and the Giants. So in order to stack up against one of those teams, you had to be the 49ers, or you never win. And we had this thing going where you'd run backwards as far as you could back to the end zone without getting a safety, and you just launch a pass.
That's right.
And they would always catch it in the end zone. It was like,
yep.
But like you said, it's trying to set records. I remember we played that a lot. We played with friends, and they used to hate it.
Yeah.
Because we had it down pat. That was a fun game.
And this is one also, this kind of reminds me of, like I said, Legend of Zelda. This was Faxanadu. And once again, it's kind of one of those games where you build up your character, find different items, and to beat the game. So this was one that I
kind of medieval.
Enjoyed. Yeah.
Medieval period.
Had a nice storyline to it, but I know they have a bunch of different ones out now. But this was one that I particularly liked then. So
yeah, that was a fun game. It lot of hours. I made the joke, you know, when we were younger, and remember Mom and Dad gave us that console TV that we had in our room. For those that don't know, that you're younger, you're watching this. It was like a wooden border around the TV, like a giant CRT TV. Like imagine this TV, but it had like wood around it. That's what they called console TVs. But do you remember, like, when we would get up early in the morning and we'd play these games, then we'd have to school because we were homeschooled. We'd pause the game and shut the TV off.
Right.
And pray to God that either the power didn't go out or when she was vacuuming that she would hit the Nintendo. And at that time, we did end up moving it on top. But where our sister was younger, she'd come on and see the red button and hopefully didn't hit the power off because, I mean, I don't know how you would beat that game today without...
Yeah, I know the Genie.
Game Genie.
Genie
I have
was
that.
one of those.
Over? No way! Because we got Game Genie. We tell you when it's over.
With Game Genie, I decide how many lives I get.
I use it when I want to live forever.
Play to the end and win. Maybe I want to start on level 15.
No problemo.
It makes cool games like Street Fighter 2 more exciting.
Less frustrating. With Game Genie, it ain't over. Till we say it's over. Excellent!
Game Genie for NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis, and Game Boy. Codes from many popular games, each sold separately.
Things that you could use to help power up. I don't remember what the codes anymore.
No, I'd have to look through the book.
Personally. But I know certain games, especially when you wanted to play and you're like, oh, I want to get this far, you look up the Game Genie codes to try to cheat until you figured out how to beat the game or play the game better.
Yeah, that was the days.
I know this was one that we spent hours playing.
Oh my gosh.
Bobble. You also had different codes with that as well to get to different levels, but you had to beat it with 2 players in order to get the true ending. I remember doing it, and I think it was like level, I want to say 99, where you had to open. There was at one point in the game in there, I think it was level 99, and a magic door would open up, and you had to get in that door within that time frame. If you didn't, and you just finished the level, you wouldn't get on to the actual ending of the game.
Because it was a big guy, right? We had to we'd bubble up the little ones and we'd have to send it into the big one, right?
Correct. So there was, and then there was like little lightning things that would come out and you had to hit it with it.
That's right.
But yeah, those were the games that I liked playing growing up. I mean, I liked other games too, don't get me wrong, but those were ones I would keep coming back and keep playing.
So I want to ask you now, you've been to my house, you've seen my collection, obviously. Do you think I'm crazy for going through and trying to collect all 635 Nintendo games ever made? It's
definitely a great goal to go for. Me personally, I wouldn't do that, but that's just me.
No, a lot of people, it's not for them.
I mean, if I could do that, it would be great, but I don't know if I would be able to do it with Nintendo. I mean, that was one of the ones that we played with.
Yeah.
I think me personally, I would probably go with like Nintendo 64. Those were games that I liked playing. I guess started collecting.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I had a lot of Nintendo 64 games.
That's where I got a lot of my boxes.
But that was something that I like personally. But a lot of the Nintendo 64 games, they would go back. And I remember playing Nintendo 64, I would play Wave Race. That was one of the games that I liked playing a lot. That was different than any other game.
So if you were collecting, would you say that if you were collecting, would you go for a full set, or would you just buy? And there's nothing wrong with it. Would you just buy the games that you liked or that you played growing up? What would be your goal? Because he doesn't collect.
Yeah, so
he's not a collector.
I think I would start off as getting all the games that I played when I was younger. That would be the primary thing that I would go for, and then I would see where I went. You know, I might go and build my collection up. But those would definitely be the games that I would go, the ones I played the most when I was a kid, the ones I liked, like I said, like Wave Race, Mario, obviously. Those were the ones that I definitely played. And then there were some ones that I ever played that I wish I would have gotten, just didn't have the money or just didn't have the time or just never did. I remember Nintendo 64, like Contra, the Alien Wars. I never got that one.
And that's an expensive game right now.
And I never played it, so I couldn't even tell you how it was or wasn't. Yeah. That was one of the games that I wish I would have got, just never got it.
So, one of the things with me, I don't know what it is with the Nintendo, but these games just resonate. And maybe it is because this was the first system we had and we played it so many hours. And I think by the time you got to Super Nintendo, I was older.
Right.
You kind of played that a lot by yourself. I didn't really like the 4 buttons. It was just kind of
different.
And I went to the Genesis and I started doing a lot with the Genesis, and I didn't have a lot of games, but the Genesis was my thing. But honestly, the next system that I'm going to be working on is the Super Nintendo. That's the system I want to get the complete set for, and it's not for everybody. I'm taking my time with it. I'm not trying to get them complete in box. I'm just trying to get them. I've had people from Australia send me a couple Australian Nintendo games that I have in the kit here. So I don't know. Maybe that's why, but it's not for everybody. There's people out there trying to get the PlayStation 2 complete sets, and there's well, I think 2,000 games in that. You know,
wow.
but people are trying to do that. It's not for everybody. I want you guys in the comments below. Tell us your favorite games that you played on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And if you were going to collect for it, would you do the whole set? Or would you just collect those games, like he said, that you liked when you were growing up and that you played and that they pull on that nostalgia heartstring of yours? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to know. Remember, on the way out, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and we're going to continue bringing you more and more Nintendo games as I continue. I found 2 today, and you guys will have to check my social media to see which ones I found, but we added to the collection. So we're getting closer. We're halfway there for the Nintendo set, and again, I'm just taking my time and getting the games as I can, but really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, keep it buzzing.